welcome to another episode of When Life Podcast. Life has its ups and downs, and we want to talk about it. In this podcast, we want you to fill in the blank. When life sucks, when life is awesome, and many more. We hope you enjoy this next episode. Hey guys, welcome to another video of When Life Podcast. Today we're going to be talking to Areli.
Hey.
And we're going to be talking about when life sucks. So, of course, we all have stories of when life sucks and when, I guess, things didn't really go our way. But we want to talk about it. So, what you got?
Okay, so I'm going to be super open with y'all and honest. Life has been sucking lately.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to talk like present tense. Just kind of like where I'm at. Just to give y'all like a backstory. I graduated from Bible school or CFNI in December last year. And now I had like a semester off and I was kind of trying to figure out my life and I was working. And I really felt like I had to go back. And I always wanted to finish like a track where it's a full like major or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the pastoral major at my school. So yeah, I wanted to finish that, and I was like, you know what? If not now, then when? Like, I'm not gonna have all this time or whatever. And I ended up just doing it, and part of me was like, I don't want to do this because that's like I feel like I'm like going back and stuff. So just even going through with it, it was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it because I really did feel like it was what I had to do from God or whatever. And really, right now we're like towards the end of the semester. And I finally like hit a wall where I was kind of like frustrated because I was like, dude, what is going on with my life? Like, what am I doing right now? What is this about? I feel like I'm wasting time. I'm 26. So then I'm kind of like in this place right now where I almost felt like into like some sort of like, I don't want to like say like minimize other people's real depressions, but I've never been in this like low state emotionally. And it's been like really bad. Like it got to the point where I'm usually, my friends know me, I'm a very clean person. I'm a clean freak and I'm like organized and all this stuff. It got to the place where I was like, I couldn't even make my bed. I was like, I could care less, like if I showed up to class or not. I was sleeping a lot or I wasn't sleeping. I was in eating. It just got crazy. But really, it's been sucky. And it got to the point where what sucked about it was that I was just disappointed, you know, like as a millennial, we see all these things and we want to be doing like adventurous things. We want to be doing a lot. We want to be doing big things. You want to have already your career, you know? And now like this time it's been like really sucky because I'm like, what am I doing with my life? I'm 26, you know, I'm still in school. I feel like I've been in school. I have been in school actually for like 7 or 8 years now. And it's kind of like, dude, what am I doing? I'm at a job that I'm not happy doing and all this stuff. So that's kind of like the point where life has sucked because it doesn't look the way I wanted it to look, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Man, so you mentioned how this has kind of affected you in the clean side, right? Where you're like, oh, I don't really care for it. What other areas would you say that it has started to affect or you could see it affecting?
So it was really affecting me really in every way. Like relationally, I got to the point where I noticed like I hit a wall where it was just like I was depressed. So I was around people, but I wasn't really engaging like wholeheartedly. Like I wasn't connecting really like deep and like reaching out to people. I wasn't doing it. Where it was just kind of like going through the motions. People would see me smile because I'm that kind of person, so everybody just kind of expects me to be that person. But it just got to the point where I just couldn't keep it up anymore. Like one day I legit like came to my room and I couldn't. Like I was like, I'm not gonna be able to get out of this by myself. So I have to reach out for help. If not, because I felt like I was suffocating in me, like inside of me, just with the suck, you know, like with the depression, with all these negative thoughts. I felt hopeless. Until like that day that I like hit the wall and I was like, I need help. I like reached out to my roommate and I was like, dude, like my life sucks. I need help. And she's like, yeah, I noticed you. Like, all of, and like, I started telling friends, you know, and it's been kind of like a process of getting out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And people connecting with people, and they're like, hey, yeah, we know. Like, we know you've just been out of it. You've been, you know, but you never reached out. You never, like, opened up.
Mm-hmm.
So it really affected me, like, all around. Like, not only physically myself, but it even affected my relationships. Like, even my parents would be like, hey, you're not okay. Like, they, like, one day they're like, Arely, this is not you. Like, you're sleeping too much. You're doing you don't do this.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny how, like, stuff like that has a domino effect, right? Because we talked about how we long for relationship and we long for touch and belonging. And whenever we are disconnected, we put relationships at stake, right? Mm-hmm. And it's crazy how, like, we try to put up this front of, like, I'm good, but in the moment you come clean, your friends are like, we know.
Yeah.
And, like, the whole time, how I see that is, like, you know, like, your friends were there for you the whole time, you know, and they weren't treating you any different, even though they knew.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
And then now you're, like, reaching out and they're like, let's do this, you know,
yeah.
like, let's do this together, which is really amazing.
Yeah.
So what would you say, you know, because you touched on the relationship side, what role has God been playing in your life during this time? How do you feel in your relationship with God? You know, do you feel like you're having to rely on people more than God, or vice versa? Like, how has that mix been?
So, like, in this process, it's been like, God has really shown me relationship is key. Like, to be able to make it, like, you can't do any of this. Like, you can't go through the suck, or you can't even grow or go on to the next phase of your life without relationship. So, like, my connectivity with God was, like, it's like a mirror. Like, however you're doing with God is how you're going to do with people. Like, if your relationships, like, this way with people are sucking, or they're just poor, just unhealthy, it really is a reflection of where you're at with God. Like, that's what I noticed, like, in myself. There had been a disconnect from God, and I started, like, I'm a doer, so I do a lot of things. I was so consumed with my time with people that I started, like, overdoing it with people, and I got so people focused that I lost sight of my relationship with God.
Wow.
And I started depending, like, my worth, or all of these things started depending on how much I can do for people, or how much people could see me, how much people can love me, how much people can appreciate me. And I was trying to do that and get that affirmation of who I am from people, rather than first going to God and being like, oh, God sees me as this and this and this and this. And it was like, once it turns onto God and you're able to rely on God, then the rest is affected, and it's healthy because it's coming from a whole place. Because people can't satisfy, like, all of the voids, all of the questions, all of the disappointments. You can't really wrestle it out. But it's funny because once you're cool with God, you need people to, like, keep building that. Like, you need people to be vulnerable with. You need people who are going to hear you out, because you also need that accountability. You know, the moment that I opened up with my friends, all of my friends were like, okay, like, let's do this together. Like, let's face the reality, you know, of growing and helping you out of this phase, really. Like, out of, like, hey, you're not alone. Like, we, like, my, like, friends started opening up, like, even more. Like, it's funny how when you open up, even your friends open up too. So it's kind of like, hey, my life has sucked, but then people are like, hey, my life sucks too. I've been feeling the exact same way you have. You know, so it's like that connection, and it just kind of this cool community, you know, of just really I feel like what Christians are supposed to look like.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, and it's like, it's almost like God is working through people. So it's like the connections of the right-minded people, connections with faith people that are going to build you up, also somehow build you up in your relationship with God.
Yeah.
Which is insane how that works, and how God makes it all work out for our good. Well, thank you so much for sharing and for opening up. We have the drink of the day.
Yes.
So let's take a sip.
Okay.
Is that like lavender?
It's
definitely a latte. I taste coffee in there.
It's definitely a latte. I don't know. I think it's... Is it peppermint? Maybe lavender?
It's seasonal. It's a seasonal
It's
drink.
a seasonal
We'll
drink
take
for
that.
sure.
It's good though.
It's
It's
really
all
good.
that matters.
Starbucks, you're the bomb. We liked it. Yes.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you in the next episode.